So, Keith, the Guardians have been really good at drafting and developing starting pitching, especially college guys. And Bieber, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Logan Allen, Aaron Savali, kind of just off the top of my head. Who are some of the guys in this year's draft that obviously after the first round, because I don't think they're taking a pitcher number one overall, that the Guardians might be looking at?
And it's interesting because of all the guys you mentioned, Gavin Williams was the only first rounder, right? What they seem to particularly do well is identify guys who they can help, right? Williams is basically the same guy he was in college. All of those other guys you mentioned have improved in some way, Bybee, Bieber, Savali, all in particular, after getting into the Guardian system. And I think there's a real core competence there. And if you talk to their people, they don't talk about the secrets, but they know that they got something. And other teams look at that too. And now other teams are saying, right, who are the Guardians going after? And should we go after those guys? Which is fine. But if you don't have the secret sauce, right, to make these guys better, then it may not necessarily work out. And there are some of these interesting. So I think Cleveland's type is they like guys who throw strikes, which is obviously not true of all college stars. A lot of them, it's more stuff than command or control. They want the latter guys. They like guys who have some second pitch, not some non-fastball that is already in place that they can work with. All these other guys had something, except for Williams. Williams was an exception also because his main pitch was and still is a really difficult to hit fastball. But when they're going for these guys in rounds, sort of say 2 through 5, they're looking for good athletes. They like good deliveries, but they're willing to tweak a delivery, at least one off-speed pitch that is kind of already in place. Now it might get better, but that they already feel like is an above average pitch, and control, preferably control with command as well. And I think there are a bunch of these guys this year. There's actually quite a few guys who I think would be higher picks if people felt more comfortable with the delivery. Luke Holman is a guy at LSU where he's had great results this year. Nothing is plus. It's 91, 94. It's probably an above average slider, above average curveball. I would like to see him throw a changeup a little bit more. LSU changed his delivery. He used to have a longer arm action and actually threw harder before that. That's a guy I could see Cleveland taking, saying, we're going to restore your arm action to where it was when you were a sophomore and maybe see your stuff play up. And then, that's just like a good value pick and plays right into some of the things that I think they do extremely well. There's a guy named Sam Stuhr, Stuhr, who's out at Portland, who, it's funny, University of Portland could have 2 guys drafted. They've got a fourth-year junior named Brink, who's actually among the NCAA's strikeout leaders this year. But Stuhr is the better prospect. It is much better stuff. And I do think that he's another guy who could benefit from, one is he's just going to be underrated because of where he pitches. And he's got more present velocity than these guys typically do when Cleveland drafts them. But he's got a changeup that he barely uses. I could see Cleveland taking a guy like that and say, okay, we're going to just change your pitch mix a bit. Or even try to improve his changeup. He's got sort of an old school circle change, and that's literally just a slightly different grip because the arm speed's fine, slightly different grip to give it more movement. Again, the kind of thing Cleveland really likes to do. Also, Cleveland doesn't mind if a pitcher's a little bit undersized. I think they think that is size is a little overrated. I'm inferring this from the way they draft. Carter Holton would be the other one, a lefty at Vanderbilt, who he misses bats, but he's also been getting hit hard when he gives up contact. And he was somebody who's maybe had a chance to move himself up into the first round this year, that he's got some stuff he's got some raw ingredients to work with, but that's the guy you hand over to player development and say, this guy could have been a first rounder. Instead, we got him in the 3rd because he had a bad year and finished very poorly. Do your magic, right? He's left-handed. He's shown he's got some stuff that can miss bats. He's got a really good changeup in place, which obviously with Tanner Bybee, they valued that as well. That's another one. Just get him different environment, try to get more consistency to the delivery. Tiny tweaks may get him to be, okay, maybe he's not a top of the rotation starter, but a guy who's like a quality 3rd or 4th starter with player development help. Just having this player development group in place opens up so many possibilities. So many pitchers. There are probably pitchers I don't even really know about because they're not good enough to say get onto my top 100 ranking, but for Cleveland, they make sense, right? Because they can look at those guys and say, yeah, he had a terrible year and there's not really a plus pitch here yet, but we can do some things. They see raw ingredients that make a guy a third round possibility for them. Whereas for a lot of other teams, it wouldn't make sense because they can't develop pitching the same way.